You watched the new Harry Potter trailer and felt warm nostalgia seeing the red train. But you missed the yellow coat hanger in the dark cupboard and the missing stamp on the letter. These hidden details prove the creators are not making a simple children's story. They are building a dark psychological thriller where the real monsters are ordinary people. What you are about to hear is not speculation. It is evidence. 10 specific details buried inside 93 seconds of footage. Details that reveal exactly how different this series is going to be from everything that came before it. Begin recording. Detail 1. The drawing on the cupboard wall. In the very first seconds of the trailer, Harry is thrown into his cupboard under the stairs. It happens quickly. Most viewers were focused on Harry himself, on the expression on his face, on the smallness of the space. But on the wall behind him, pinned with what appears to be a small piece of tape, is a hand-drawn sketch, a motorcycle, with what looks like yellow light radiating from its headlamp. In the original films, that cupboard contained almost nothing, a thin mattress, a small shelf. It was set dressing and nothing more. In the first book, Harry confesses that he has dreamed about a flying motorcycle since he was very young. He does not know where the dream comes from. He does not know that it is a memory rather than a fantasy. He does not know that the man who carried him on that motorcycle on the night his parents died is the same giant man who will one day hand him his first birthday cake and tell him he is a wizard. The production placed that drawing in the frame intentionally. It is a confirmation that the series will explore Harry's psychology in the years before Hogwarts with a depth that no previous version attempted. It is also the earliest possible reference to Rubeus Hagrid. 93 seconds into the first trailer, and they have already seeded something most viewers did not catch. Dieter, the coat hanger. When Harry lands on the floor of his cupboard, a large yellow coat hanger is visible on the wall beside him. It appears to be the most mundane object in the entire trailer. It was not. In the first book, on the eve of Harry's 11th birthday, as Vernon Dursley was preparing to take the family to a remote sea shack to escape the flood of Hogwarts letters, Harry thought about what his aunt and uncle had given him for his birthday the previous year. A coat hanger and a pair of Uncle Vernon's old socks. That is the full extent of what the Dursleys considered appropriate birthday gifts for the boy who had lived in their house for a decade. The placement of that yellow hanger is a deliberate signal from the production. This version of the Dursleys will not be played for comedy. There will be no exaggerated slapstick, no cartoonish cruelty that the audience can safely laugh at from a distance. The abuse in this house will be made to feel mundane and quiet and entirely real. That is a fundamentally darker choice than anything the original films attempted. And the production team confirmed that choice with a single coat hanger. Detail 3. Petunia and the hair. The trailer shows Aunt Petunia, played by Belle Powley, cutting Harry's hair with scissors. She is not doing it gently. She is attacking it. And from the expression on her face, the problem is not that the hair is messy. The problem is that the hair will not stay cut. This is a detail that was present in the books and completely omitted from the films. In the original story, Petunia made repeated attempts to control Harry's appearance, and his hair grew back overnight regardless of how short she cut it. It was one of his earliest accidental magical manifestations, a small and stubborn act of resistance that his body performed without his permission or his understanding. The production chose to show this scene in the very first trailer. That is not a small decision. They are signaling that this series will build Harry as someone who was already magical before he knew the word existed. Someone whose own body was quietly refusing the life the Dursleys had assigned him. The magic was never a gift that arrived by owl at age 11. It was always there, trying to get out. Detail 4. The moment at the school, there had method of being references, which was that we work biz beta themselves. Their moment at the school, the moment at the school. There is a brief sequence in which Harry is running through a corridor at his primary school. He is being chased by members of Dudley Dursley's gang. He is cornered. He is outnumbered, and then there is a cut. In the books, this particular incident ended with Harry somehow appearing on the roof of the school building. He had no memory of how he got there. He was punished for it despite having done nothing consciously. It was treated as a problem. Another strange thing about a strange boy that the Dursleys needed to contain. The trailer does not show us the roof, but it shows us the chase. It shows us the fear. It is building toward a scene that was never in the films. This scene establishes something that is essential to understanding who Harry Potter actually is. Magic, for Harry, did not begin as wonder and candles and moving staircases and a world that was secretly beautiful. It began as survival. It began as his body doing what his mind could not. It began in terror, not in joy. This series is apparently not going to begin with magic as a gift. It is going to begin with magic as a wound that has not yet been given a name. Date 5. The Hogwarts letter without a stamp. The trailer shows one of the Hogwarts letters arriving at the house on Privet Drive. The envelope is addressed in florid, cursive script. The paper is heavy. The wax seal is clearly visible. It is an extraordinary object sitting in an ordinary letterbox. But if you look carefully at the envelope, you will notice what is absent from it. There is no postage stamp. In the wizarding world, post is delivered by owls. There is no need for a postal service. There is no need for a stamp. To any ordinary person looking at that envelope, the absence of a stamp would register as a small wrongness. Something the eye notices, but the brain dismisses. To Harry, who had received almost no post in his entire life, and certainly no letters addressed specifically to him with his name and the words, "cupboard under the stairs," the arrival of that letter was already impossible to explain. The missing stamp was simply one more small impossibility in a morning full of them. The production included this detail. It was not present in the films. It is a signal to every reader who spent time with the books that this production team knows the material. Not approximately, precisely. Detail 6. Hedwig at King's Cross, Wensted Fillet. When I vivi that destroyed between Road Muntle Head was a close of activity complaceness to President for me, in Aldermittle's Floss by the Cunton to a Nort community. When Harry arrives at King's Cross Station and begins to run toward the barrier between platforms 9 and 10, there is a brief and partially obscured shot of his belongings. Among them, in a cage, is a snowy white owl. Hedwig. In the original films, Hedwig was present but largely ornamental. She delivered letters when the plot required it. She appeared when convenient. She was never developed as a character in her own right. In the books, Hedwig was Harry's first real companion. She was described as intelligent and proud and occasionally temperamental. She was described as someone who had genuine feelings and expressed them. When Harry left her alone in her cage for too long, she nipped his fingers. When Harry was distressed, she pressed herself against the bars of her cage to be close to him. She was not a prop. She was a relationship. The production placed Hedwig in this shot deliberately. She will matter in this series. She will be given time and attention that the films never gave her. And for those readers who know exactly how her story ends, her presence in that cage at King's Cross Station, at the very beginning of the journey, carries a weight that is very close to grief. Detail 7. The reflection in the train window. There is a moment at the station in which Harry watches Molly Weasley embrace her son Ron as he prepares to board the Hogwarts Express. It is a brief scene, and it carries enormous emotional weight. Harry has no one to embrace him. He watches from a distance, as he has always watched things from a distance. This is the moment most viewers focused on. It is the obvious emotional beat, the intended tear. But in the glass of the Hogwarts Express window, in the reflection that most eyes would pass over entirely, there is another figure. A girl with red hair, standing slightly apart from the crowd. Ginny Weasley. She appears in the trailer for approximately 1 second. She has no lines. She is given no introduction. She is simply there, reflected in glass, standing near Harry in a way that neither of them yet understands, and that neither of them will understand for several years. She is 11 years old in this scene. She will not play a significant role in the first season, but she was placed there deliberately, in a reflection. Not in the foreground, not in the focus, but in the glass. As if she exists in this moment only as something glimpsed rather than seen. As if she has not yet arrived in his life, but is already somehow adjacent to it. The archive notes this with considerable respect for the people who made the decision to put her there. Detail 8. Snape in the corridor. There is a fast-moving sequence that contains a brief shot of Papa Esiedu as Severus Snape. He is in a darkened corridor. He is using lumos, projecting a narrow beam of light into the shadows ahead of him. He appears to be searching for something he cannot see. This scene is taken from a specific moment in the first book. It is the moment where Snape nearly discovers Harry moving through the castle beneath his invisibility cloak. In the text of that scene, it is made clear that Snape could sense Harry's presence without seeing him. His legilimency, his ability to read and sense minds, told him that something was nearby even when his eyes could find nothing. He is not simply patrolling a corridor in this shot. He knows something is there. He simply cannot prove it yet. This is a level of fidelity to the source material that the films never attempted. The production is apparently going to show us what Snape actually perceives, what he suspects and cannot confirm, what it feels like to be the most intelligent person in a room full of people who underestimate you. Papa Esiedu has made a specific and courageous decision. He is not attempting to replicate a legendary performance. He is approaching the character as his own interpretation. The archive is watching this choice very carefully. Small 9. Dumbledore and the Pensieve. John Lithgow appears briefly as Albus Dumbledore. He is not in the Great Hall. He is not behind a desk. He is standing over an object with a long, thin instrument in his hand that anyone familiar with the books will recognize immediately. He is using a pensieve. A pensieve is a stone basin that allows a wizard to extract memories from their own mind and examine them from the outside. It is a tool for reviewing the past with a clarity and distance that ordinary human memory cannot provide. In the films, the pensieve appeared primarily in the later installments, but in the first book, it is mentioned as something Dumbledore uses regularly, something he employs when his mind becomes too full, and he needs to sort through its contents carefully. The production is showing us this in the very first trailer. They are positioning this Dumbledore not as a wise and benevolent grandfather presiding over a school, but as an investigator, a man working through evidence, reviewing the past to understand a present threat that is quietly rebuilding itself. A man who is afraid, even if he has spent his entire career learning to look unafraid. This is a more complete Dumbledore than the films gave us. The archive considers this the single most significant creative signal in the entire trailer. Detail 10. The darkness of the palette. This is not a single frame, it is the entire trailer. The original films, particularly the first two, were bright. The colors were warm and oversaturated. Hogwarts was golden. The magic came with sparkle and candles and primary colors laid over everything. It was designed to feel like a theme park, a place you wanted to visit. It was designed to feel safe. This trailer is not bright. The palette is muted. The shadows are deep. The house on Privet Drive feels oppressive rather than comedic. The corridors of Hogwarts feel genuinely ancient and not entirely safe. Even the Hogwarts Express, arriving at the castle at night, seems to be emerging from somewhere that cannot be fully trusted. The production team has stated publicly that this series is designed primarily for viewers who grew up with the original books and films, and who want to share the story with their own children now. Viewers for whom nostalgia alone is insufficient, and who need the material to hold up under the weight of an adult examination. They have made a deliberate choice to film this world as if it is real and dangerous, rather than beautiful and safe. That is a more honest approach to what J.K. Rowling actually wrote. The books, taken together, are not a children's story that accidentally became dark in the later volumes. They are a war story told from the perspective of a child who did not initially understand the war he had been born into. They always ended where they ended. The darkness was always there. The original films chose not to show it clearly until it could no longer be avoided. This production is apparently choosing to show it from the very beginning. 10 details, 10 signals. This is not a nostalgia project. It is not a studio attempting to extract further revenue from a beloved property by producing a faithful but ultimately unnecessary recreation. Something more deliberate is happening. A production team with 2 years of preparation and access to unlimited resources has made a series of very specific choices about what to include, how to frame it, and what to leave in the background for the people who are paying attention. They have placed a coat hanger on a wall. They have put a girl in a reflection. They have shown a very powerful old man standing over a basin of memories with an expression that does not belong on the face of someone who has everything under control. They are making this story for people who already know the story, and they are making it in a way that suggests they have understood something that the original films never fully grasped. Magic is not beautiful first. It is strange first. It is dangerous first. It arrives without permission in a cupboard under the stairs and grows back overnight in a boy who has been told every single day of his life that there is nothing special about him. The trailer is promising a version of this world in which that boy is finally entirely believed. There is one final detail. It does not appear anywhere in the trailer itself. It appears in what is entirely absent from the trailer. In 93 seconds of footage, assembled from a production that has been filming for over 2 years, covering the complete scope of the first book, there is no shot of Voldemort. There is no mention of Voldemort. The name does not appear. A figure in dark robes does not appear. Even the back of a hooded silhouette moving through shadows does not appear. He is simply not there. In every previous version of this story, in every film, every stage production, every adaptation, Voldemort is established as the central threat almost immediately. The audience is oriented from the beginning around a villain. Something dark is coming, and the story is about the boy who will eventually stop it. In this trailer, the darkness is not a villain in a hood. The darkness is a house on a quiet street in Surrey. A coat hanger on a wall. A woman with scissors cutting a child's hair with an expression like she is attempting to cut something that cannot be destroyed. The production team is telling us, through his complete absence, that in this version of the story, Voldemort will not be the most frightening thing Harry Potter encounters in the first season. The Dursleys will be. Record that. The archive is open.